This is part 2 of a repair video on this Bebop 2 that was found out in a game reserve in South Africa and has made its way to Spain for me to take a look at. In the first part we could see that the basic Wi-Fi and connectivity was working, but there was no output from the camera. So now we're going to take the camera assembly apart, and I know that the connection is corroded, but we'll see if we can salvage it. The GPS module is connected via this little ribbon cable here, so we need to carefully move that little tab down. The GPS board itself shows some minor corrosion. We'll just clean that up with some IPA. The camera assembly itself is held on by 4 screws, it appears. Now I have to take care at this point because the ribbon cable is still attached here. This little metal bracket needs to come off. Now we shall see. At first sight this doesn't appear to be too bad. I think I'll probably take a look at it under the microscope, and we can see some corrosion on the circuit board here. So I'll just give that a little clean and then inspect it under the microscope. This is the connector on the Bebop main board, which doesn't actually look too bad. More worryingly, there appears to be damage around some of the little integrated circuits. All that we can do is to clean it up and hope for the best. Looking now at the camera end, it's a similar story. At this point again, all that we can do is to clean it up and hope for the best. So this is it, having cleaned the camera end, and similarly the connector on the main board. Not much we can do about the other damage apart from pray. Let's plug it back together and see. I've drawn a blank on trying to repair the camera. I have no idea whether it's the camera module or the main circuit board, and with the replacement camera module running at somewhere around €150 and the main board similarly 120 was the price that I saw. Not that anybody actually had one in stock. So that's game over as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to trouble myself with that any further. I have another idea in mind. The battery solution at the moment, I've just soldered an XT60 connector in the place of the main pack. I can swap that out for different sizes that I have. We'll see how that works, and obviously just strapped it down. The last challenge for the moment is putting the propellers back. I've put the screws in and put them in with Loctite to stop them coming loose. But the challenge is I don't have the special magic tool to put the propellers back on again, so I'm going to have to improvise. For example, this motor here doesn't have the pip sticking out, so this is the corresponding propeller for it, and what we have to do is to slot it down over the top of the screws and then rotate it. But the challenge is that you can't grab hold of the motor to rotate it easily. Therefore my solution, being somewhat crude, is just with a pair of round nose pliers try and hold the motor still whilst I rotate the propeller. That's about all I can do. I've seen several mentions on the internet that these propellers have a habit of coming adrift, and I'm not entirely surprised. I guess the only thing we can do now is go and see if it will fly. Check again. Yes, drone controller, return to home. I guess it's time to just go for it. Well, Johan, I don't know if you ever thought you'd see the day. Certainly seems to hover very stably. We go forwards. Back the way. Now something I did wonder about was whether this thing has headless mode. So if we turn it around, so turning around, it's now facing me. So if we tell it to go forward, so no, it's not headless. It does seem to turn very slowly. I know there's a different mode, sort of advanced mode or something. So far so good. And even my little battery pack seems to be holding out, which is usually, you say that, the kiss of death. Can't actually see on the screen very well at all. The numbers are so tiny for the battery level. I really do not like this interface. I wonder if we go, oh, it's battery low, it's saying. I wonder what it's going to do. It'll auto land, I guess. Let's press landing anyway. Well, I don't know about you, Johan, but I'm impressed. I guess that beep 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 is the low battery. Bebop. Bebop Palooba, she's my baby. I'm definitely not keen on this landing. Well, it might be new propeller time. It just struck the edge of the hill there. All I can say is controlling it via a smartphone is not my idea of fun. At least we've managed to keep the wreckage in the same general area. When reviewing a crash zone, it's a good idea to stand back and just look and make sure all the pieces are there. It looks like we didn't break the prop, which is good news. The camera's lens down in the dirt, which is bad news. In the end, no parrots were harmed during the making of this video. It survived intact, and I did take the precaution of printing off some of these little, not sure what you would call them, but propeller fixers that just slot in and prevent the propeller from rotating. My camera mount, although it works, was a bit loose. I need to find some way. I think it's probably because I don't have the battery box in place. It's probably better to go in this position here. But I shall work on that. The camera saga continues. Once or twice when I've powered the unit up, I've actually seen a picture briefly on the display, which leads me to suspect that the issue is more with the camera module than with the board. But as I say, I'm not prepared to spring €150 on a new camera only to find out it's a different problem. If anybody has any ideas on that or any alternative sources for cameras, I've been looking on eBay. Maybe there's somebody that has one with just damaged optics that I could get a working camera out of. Once again, my deepest thanks to Johan for sending me the parrot. It's been a lot of fun. I shall continue to test its capabilities. I haven't managed to get it to return to home successfully yet, and I really need to find an alternative to the smartphone interface. I can't get on with that at all. It's just awful. I guess it's okay for younger people that have grown up with smartphones and use them to control games, but for me it's an utter nightmare. So watch this space. I'm sure I'll come up with something.